So the question emerging on the timelines is Ronaldo the reason Portugal will not win the World Cup? Or some people would ask in an alternative way and say, if Portugal dropped Ronaldo, would they automatically be favorites for the World Cup? I mean, this question, when you go online, is being thrown about and discussed quite widely, and I want to establish my take on it. Now let's backtrack a little bit, okay? Let's do a little bit of a historical take. Portugal, before the emergence of Cristiano Ronaldo, okay? In the entire expanse of Portugal's existence, the entire history, they featured players like Eusebio, who was a magnificent player for Benfica and for Portugal. Ballon d'Or winner. They've had players like Figo, also a Ballon d'Or winner. Top tier, superlative talent. Okay? Now, Rui Costa, also another legend, AC Milan, Portugal. Fantastic player, all right? Now, when you put all these players and the things they were able to achieve for their country, Portugal, okay? When you put all of them together, it will not even account for an infinitesimally minute substrata of what Cristiano has been able to achieve with Portugal. Portugal, in their entire history, had not won a single silverware before Cristiano. Not one. Okay? The only time Portugal won anything significant, which the maiden time was in 2016 when Cristiano won the Euros with Portugal as captain, obviously with Eder scoring that beautiful long-range goal. That is the only time in the entire history, that was the first time in the entire history of Portugal to have won anything. They had not won any single silverware. So to automatically pre-suggest that somehow mysteriously Portugal would be in a better situation, will have better potential to win something they had not won before Cristiano, okay? In the absence of Cristiano, and mind you, everything they've won, two Nations Leagues, okay? I think they won the Confederation Cup. I'm not very sure about that, but they also won the Euros. All these have been with Cristiano Ronaldo, okay? So to somehow suggest that Portugal would have won the World Cup if it weren't for Cristiano, that in itself is self-defeating. Because Portugal have never been favorites for any type of competition prior to Cristiano's emergence. You will have seasoned professionals, journalists, ex-football players, pundits, who for some reason sit on TV and make it a perennial hobby to demonstrate a very high level, a very pernicious level of hatred for a man who has given us so much entertainment over so many decades, of about 2-3 decades now. It is astoundingly reprehensible to see people sitting on the ESPN talking about Cristiano like Cristiano is the guy, the albatross to Portugal's winning potential in perspective of the World Cup. Now, this would make some degree of sense if Portugal had won a trophy before, or had won the World Cup before Cristiano, or they were a household name, or somehow were a good team without Cristiano. Now, all these things are negative. The statistics are unequivocal. They play worse without Cristiano. They won absolutely nothing prior to Cristiano. So clearly, the deciding factor, the deterministic factor in their recent success can be directly and proportionately attributed to the presence of Cristiano. So to somehow sit on TV and demonstrate such level of bitterness, being simply embittered by the sheer existence of such a magnificent talent, is beyond my comprehension, if I'm being completely honest. Cristiano Ronaldo will go to the World Cup, and if Portugal have any chances of winning the World Cup, it will not be in spite of Cristiano. It will be because of Cristiano. Very rightly, people have pointed out that, oh, he's older now and he's playing the Saudi League. Yes, you could say that with perfect utility. But then he's not the only player in the 40 age decade to go to the World Cup or to start for his country. I don't hear many people speaking about Croatia. Yes, but Modric is going to be there. Kramaric is going to be there. Perisic is going to be there. Now, these players are either in the 40 age decade or they are right in its environs. So to somehow fixate on Cristiano and single him out and cast venom and aspersions at such a guy who has blessed us with magnificent football across the entire scope of Europe and to the world at large, and make it look like he is the albatross to Portugal's potential of winning. I mean, it's simply astoundingly moronic. Cristiano Ronaldo is unquestionably the greatest goal scorer of all time. Okay? Now, I want to speak in factual terms, not in sentimental terms or in an opinionated way. Yeah? Because if I said Cristiano is the greatest footballer of all time, that would be my opinion, because that's not something that anybody has placed on any particular individual as a bona fide acclaim. Okay? But Cristiano, factually, is historically the greatest goal scorer of all time. So to go, I mean, he's only scored about a measly 971 goals. So why not put him on the bench and go to the World Cup? Think about it. It's completely ironic to even begin to consider it, that Cristiano should be on the bench, somehow should be on the bench, or he's going to be the obstacle that's going to block Portugal's fortunes. There's nothing vaguely appropriate about that kind of presupposition. It's very dangerous. Cristiano's level of talent, yeah? Now, when I say his goal-scoring ability far supersedes anyone in the entire scope of history, I'm not saying it as a measure of my subjective analysis, okay? I'm saying it because it is a fact that he is more talented in terms of goal scoring than anyone has ever been on the face of this earth. So if you have a player like that, and let's say, okay, maybe his ability or goal scoring ability, his footballing ability is not as he once was. Okay, that is, you can say that with absolute certainty, and you'll be right. Okay, but then looking at his level of talent, his peak, which is way beyond anybody in the entire scope of history. His peak is here, and the average person's peak is here. Okay, in terms of goal scoring, I'm not even talking in terms of actual footballing traits. In terms of goal scoring, so if his peak is here, and the average footballer, or let's say the average striker, let's say someone like Oyarzabal, who's going to be a striker for Spain, yeah, his peak is here. Okay, Ronaldo may have declined a little bit due to his age, so maybe he has plummeted to maybe, let's say, here. Okay, he is still better or at par with many of the seasoned strikers we have today. Okay? So to somehow presuppose that he going to the World Cup is something that nobody has heard before, or something that should not happen, or something that should be reconsidered, or is that we should allow Ramos to start instead of him. I mean, the moment you say that, you should go to PSG's records. First of all, try to ascertain how many times Ramos plays, if he plays, how he plays, and how many goals he scores as a striker for PSG. He plays in France, okay? And he's not even getting minutes as a youngster. Yeah? So we need to put all these into reasonable perspective and speak about them and consider these salient analytical points rather than just being emotional and overly judgmental about somebody's age. There's nothing vaguely appropriate about that.